Hello BookTube, this video is to inform you that I will not be talking about the Oxford Book of American Short Stories edited by Joyce Carol Oates this coming Friday on Weekly Reads. I have decided to bail on it. I spent Monday and Tuesday dipping into the collection, and it became readily apparent that I really wasn't all that enthusiastic about reading the stories in this collection. So I'm bailing. I'm also bowing out of my one of my July reading projects, the one in which I read American fiction, poetry, and drama in July. And I'm going to take a bit of a harder look at the other events that I'm a part of, whether it's personal, like my back to school reading project, or booktube events like Historathon or Sumerian September or Nonfiction November or whatnot. Because, I mean, how often is it that I participate in a booktube reading event, and whether I have fun creating and gathering the TBR for those events, that when it comes time to me actually reading the books, they don't work for me. I don't like them. And so I need to be a bit more cautious. And I also really need to just recognize that even though there are instances where I do get on with some works of literary fiction or canonical works that, for the most part, for the vast majority, they do nothing for me. And I need to really recognize that and not force myself to try to enjoy something that I don't, because it's not fun. So, yeah, I don't know quite what I'm going to do with projects going forward. I mean, the one that's going to really be hurt is my back to school one, which I'd already picked up the works for the second language, two collections of Spanish poetry. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I might still try to partially do something. I don't know. Or just read whatever I want, which probably would be a lot healthier. Anyway, so there's that. I'm not really going to get into the whys, the sort of self-analysis of my thinking. It's just over the past few days and really weeks, I've been, I don't know, it's just, I'm not really all that happy with where my reading has been going. Outside of my manga reading, that's been spectacular. And I kind of want to devote all of Weekly Reads to really extolling the virtues and the wonderfulness of My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer, and probably the Seven Deadly Sins, because I'll be reading 5 volumes of that series the last 2 days of this work week. Anyway, so yeah. But I don't know if I should really talk a bit about some of this. But it's, I mean, because it's, I don't know, it's frustrating. I mean, when Rip Van Winkle does nothing for you, it's, yeah. Or the Telltale Heart does nothing for you, it's frustrating. And although to be honest, Poe's prose has never really done much for me. Um, I can force myself to read it, but yeah. Um, but it's just this. Yeah, they did. The stories that I dipped into didn't do anything for me, and yeah. So anyway, so I think to sort of clear my mind, I'm going to embark on a larger rethink of my library than I had intended last week. So last week, my plan was to move the history wall over here and move my manga over there. So that would become the manga wall. And obviously, if you notice, the manga's back over here. I kind of changed my mind because um, I got concerned that putting my history books up on this shelf here, as well as the shelf that's over here, oh, yeah, um, would not would be too heavy. So I switched things back. But the more I think about it, the more I actually really liked the look of my manga over here. So I'm going to move them back. It's going to be a bit of a more involved than I had initially anticipated because I'm going to move my science fiction and fantasy for the most part out in the hall if I can work it. Although I don't know for sure if it will work or not. Um, but I'm going to try it. And then the classics, canonical, modern, and contemporary fiction, poetry, and drama, which are currently over there, will go over here. The poetry will go on this wall shelf here because they're light, so they should work. Um, and then everything else will go on this bookcase here, and that's it. What doesn't fit, I will put somewhere and then eventually unhaul it the next time I do culling, which might be sooner rather than later because I almost got all of the books that I had gotten rid of back. And that's in like less than a month or 2 months. Anyway, um, and then the history would be here and as much of this space as I can work, but I don't know how it's going to work. Um, and I'll report back on Friday or another day once I have everything worked out. Although this is not going to be a library tour because I've already done one earlier this year, and the library tours are a bit exhausting. I mean, I just did one for manga, and that one lasted for over an hour. And yeah, I'm not going to do that again. Although, usually when I do library tours, it's usually just a shelf, so it's not that insane. But anyway, but it was fun though too. Um, what else is there? Because I think I'm going to try to make this into a more of like a general update rather than just um, the depressing end of. Uh, I don't know if it's necessarily well. Maybe it's not an end, but I'm going to be taking a more skeptical, more cautious approach to uh, reading events and also um, the works that I have grouped as classics, canonical, modern, and contemporary fiction, poetry, and drama. And really starting to read those out. That I really should not have many of these books because I've held on to them for decades. Well, not quite decades, but nearly 2 decades, like 15 or more years, that I've read them once, but I've never read them again. Why do I still have them? I really need to be a lot more uh, conscious of that and really a lot harder on some of my books. Not reading them, but whether I keep them in my collection or not. Although there are times when I do regret getting rid of books, which is probably why I am rather cautious in my unhauls. Although the actual unhauling is a bit difficult for me right now because I would need transportation to divest myself of these books, one way or another. So, anyway, this got rather tangential because I just really wanted to talk about the end of my reading of the Oxford Book of American Short Stories. And I guess I ought to go ahead and say I did today reread Radioactive Starlings by Myronn Hardy. Um, it was okay. It's definitely a. I'm not as impressed with the collection as I was the first time I read it. So, yeah. I don't know if this is maybe a sign of me being a lot harder on the whole of classics, canonical, modern, contemporary fiction, poetry, and drama, or what. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now so I can go watch some other YouTube videos, and I will be back tomorrow, hopefully with a bevy of um, tag videos because I do need some pick-me-ups. And then weekly reads on Friday. And sorry I didn't make any videos earlier in the week. Normally, when I don't film a video during Monday through Friday, it's because whatever video I was wanting to make didn't quite pan out. And that's happened uh, this past week, and it's been happening a lot lately. It's kind of annoying. So no booktube until I see you hopefully tomorrow, and if not, then certainly Friday with weekly reads. Thank you. Have a great evening and stay safe.